Huh. All right. I need to figure out what we're gonna do here. Um. Okay, I am starting a little early, folks, because I have just had one of my many moments of, well, let's just call it chaos. And I'm trying to figure if I can salvage this, or maybe I might just need to make a new set batch of dough. Um, I took my dough out of the fridge and put it in covered and put it on this here plate and covered it and put it in the oven to proof for about the last 3 hours or so. While I prepared all of my usual, stuff to make a pizza. About 15 minutes ago, as part of my prep work to get ready, I decided it was time to start preheating the oven to 400 degrees. And I turned on the oven, and I had completely forgotten that I had this dough in there. So I just took the dough out now. um, Let me see. It looks like it's still salvageable. There is a hard crust on the bottom, though. So I had better figure out what. Yep, exactly. Oops. Yeah, here we go again. Okay. Well, I think what I should do is see if this can still be kneaded. From the looks of it, I think it can. So I don't think this dough is a loss. Maybe a little bit might be. Let me see. Let me um dig out a little bit of flour. Yeah, this is one of those things they never tell you about on the pizza making groups, do they? Or this is probably one of those ones that they post on the pizza making groups to show, haha, look at this idiot. Okay, well, see what I can do to salvage it, if anything. Spread all this out. And let's see what I can do to get this dough off of here and onto here. Yeah, some of it is definitely already cooked, and that could be a bit, may be a loss perhaps. But let's see what we can do here. Um, might be able to get it to work, even though you're supposed to be able to stretch this with your hands here. Oh, not perfect. Let me try this. Let me dig out my rolling pin. Which again, I know the pizza nerds will say that you should never use a rolling pin on your pizza dough. You always have to stretch it by hand. All right, well, then let's say that is yet another rule that we are going to be breaking tonight because I did say anyway that I'm going to be making upside down pizza. Um, well, just have patience. On the whole, it doesn't look like it looks like it could very well be salvaged. So we might be able to get this to work, I hope. I won't cast the first stone because, well, oh, okay. If you're saying that I'm not alone here, that kind of makes me feel a little bit better at least. So, if nothing else, this is going to be an interesting evening, isn't it? Haven't seen anyone use a rolling pin. My mom has an upside down Christmas tree. Really? I Oh well, okay. I have actually seen quite a few dough making videos where people use a rolling pin for stretching out their dough. And of course, because it's not the traditional way, that means it causes a lot of controversy in foodie circles, because if you ever dare do something different or do it, the way not the way you're supposed to do it, then obviously you're not making real pizza. So, okay. Oh, great, off to another wonderful start. Oh well. Well, I'll have to give it a try. Okay. I think it's because it doesn't work well. Yeah, I guess you might be. I think you might be right there. All I can do is keep trying, and I don't want to break it either. Well, at least it's stretching nicely. I can say that much. All right. It's still. Oops. Yeah, I know. It's still not quite 8 o'clock yet. Anyway. So we will have to continue from there. Oh, well, never mind. Okay, enough with the whining. We either continue or we don't. So I'm going to continue. Hello, Flash 1999, and hello, Fuzzfork 8. Hello, Greg Hart, and hello, Brody YYC, Rocket Caver, RT Scott, and Val's Black Cat's Rules. I'm not a total food snob. I put the dough in the pan and push the dough that way. Yeah, that's usually how I do it with my pizza as well. I was simply trying to get the dough. Well, obviously to thaw it out because it had been in the fridge. So naturally, I had to bring the dough to the right temperature. And of course, me being the absent-minded, I shouldn't even say professor. I'm certainly not worthy of that title. The absent-minded person that I am, I just made that mistake of turning on the oven. And so now I'm just trying to salvage the dough. That's all right. From the looks of it, I think it may very well work. So let's just continue and give it a try. All right. It should still bake fine. Yeah, that's what I think as well. Besides, some of those recipes say to pre-cook the dough even partially anyway. So who knows? Besides, once again, I'm going to be trying something new tonight, something I haven't done before. But hey, I saw it in a viral video on the internet. How could it possibly go wrong? Yeah, yes, indeed. Viral videos are just so much fun, aren't they? It's like we see all these things here. People make in these 1 minute videos. People make these amazing looking dishes, and we usually say to ourselves, wow, I've got to try that. And then we don't. But in at least a few instances, I've, attempted to make these dishes, and that's what we're going to be doing tonight as well. All right. So I like pre cooking the pizza crust. Yes, exactly. So, all things considered, I don't feel that this is going to be a complete loss. At least I hope not. But until then, well, let's just, right now, we have to put this dough aside and see what happens next. And just in time. Hi there. Welcome, everybody, once again to Cast Iron Wednesday, which is a tradition that many YouTube cooking channels have been doing now for the past several years, including my own channel. I've been doing these live videos here now on my YouTube channel for about 4.5 years. Come this August or so, it will actually be the 5-year mark of doing these live videos. Whereas I've actually been making videos on this channel for over 10 years. So, yeah, I've been doing this for a while, and yet, even despite that, my videos still look very amateurish. But, well, that's what I get for making them with no budget. Anyway, no, but even so, I do appreciate all the folks who have been kind enough to show up here each week for these live videos. And here we are going again with another cast iron video. So I did say hello to some folks, but I can always say hello again to Rick Stumbo and to Brody YYC and to Clico and Cast Iron with Honey Badger and Ronald Coward and Rick Stumbo. And hello again to Fuzzfork 8. Thank you once again to my visiting my channel here, where we get to start out with a cast iron pan. And this is one that I have had. Let me see. I found this one. Yeah, that's right. I believe it was in 2021. The first flea market I went to after the quarantine began to lift. And so it was there that I managed to come across this Birmingham Stove and Range number 10 size, 12.5-inch cast iron skillet. And one that I have been putting through its paces and have certainly given a lot of use over the past 4 years. So here we are again, and this is what we're going to be doing to make our so-called upside down pizza. Yeah, that's how they describe it in the viral video that I'm attempting to imitate, and that's what we are going to be doing here tonight. Essentially, it means you put all of your toppings here in reverse and then work your way up from there. Yes, this is a 10, Ronald Coward, as well. Now, even though I've got a little bit of dust on it right now, if we look carefully, and if I have the light showing correctly, you can see here, this is in fact a 12 and 7/16 inch number 10 size cast iron skillet from Birmingham Stove and Range. So, well, yeah, I certainly think so as well. Like just about every large BSR pan I've seen, though, in the wild, this one is also a spinner. And they all seem to be spinners, it seems like. The larger BSR pans tend to be spinners, or at least all the ones I've seen. My number 14 Stumpy is a spinner as well, not to mention my number 12 size BSR Dutch oven. But anyway, as promised, we are going to try to build ourselves an upside down pizza. So that means we have to start by liberally greasing this particular skillet or pan here with olive oil. You know, because it's pizza, it always has to be olive oil. Take this out. And then from there, we will start laying down the toppings in reverse. And I'm hoping that by liberally oiling it, that should help to hopefully give the non-stick part that we see in most of those viral videos. At least one of those videos out there, someone doing this, he was honest enough to show that it did indeed stick in the pan. Almost all of those viral videos show that it doesn't stick, but who knows? Because again, obviously these YouTube viral videos always tell the truth, right? All right. That means it's time to start with the pepperoni. Come on, bugger. Yeah, which I should have actually opened up before. Okay, there we go. I might end up just simply saying hell with it and getting out the scissors. Oh, hey, I think we got it. Okay, got it. Okay, that means we start by laying down a whole bunch of pepperoni. And while we're doing this, well, as I said, I mentioned again, this particular cast iron pan is a Century Series Birmingham Stove and Range skillet, Century Cookware, that is, that they made. This particular one probably dates to the mid 1970s. I've recently learned from the BSR Facebook groups that apparently the year that they changed around their cast iron again was about 1979. That's when they put a number of changes in place in their pans. Just about all of them were cost-saving measures. It was in 1979, apparently, that they started adding the mold ID numbers to their pans, as well as changing the size on some of them, especially the number 8. This was when the BSR started producing a number 8 pan that they call the number 8 number 8B7, which was apparently a number 7 sized skillet that they renamed to number 8. Oh, okay, it's the light. Okay, it almost looked like there was mold on this particular piece, but no, it's just the light. All right. Fortunately, This is not going to take long at all. But yes, and this was a pan that I came across, and I actually, besides the fact that it was a number 10, I found it interesting because of the way the markings were done on this pan. Among other things, this demonstrated that BSR did not produce every single one of their Century cookware pans with a made in USA mark because the markings identify this as a late 1970s pan, and yet it does not have a made in USA mark on it. So that again proves that not all BSR pans without the made in USA mark were made prior to 1966. All right, so we've got that. And also there, let us also lay down a few mushrooms, because I love mushrooms. And yeah, I have no idea if this is going to work either. That's why. But hey, as I said in the description of this video, April Fool's Day is coming, and this is the time of the year where I really like trying going out on a limb and trying something different in my cast iron. I mean, of course, you could do that at any time of the year, but this particular time of year certainly makes a good excuse for it. When okay, I first start yeah, I mean, I love April Fool's Day and making spoof videos. The first few April Fool's videos I made here in my cast iron, in fact, were just simply fake cooking magic videos. And if you look them up, you will see that. And then over time, when the joke finally wore out, I decided to try making actual dishes for April Fool's Day. And that particular joke seems to have lasted a lot longer, largely because of the variety of foods out there that you can make that can really be considered strange and unusual. Last year, let me see, I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah, that's right. Last year, I made, in fact, what did I make? I made a Sprite, no, a Dorito and I think Sprite cheesecake, especially for all of those D&D gamers out there. And I have to say that cheesecake actually turned out pretty darn good. It's something I would certainly make again and some other time of year besides April Fool's Day. All right. Never met a pizza I didn't like. Well, there is that too. I mean, it's almost impossible to screw up a pizza, even though I've done it a couple of times. I've even bought a couple of pizzas that turned out to be not that great. How is this not going to stick? Good question, if you ask me. I did liberally oil this first. And then from here, we are supposed to now add on the cheese because again, we are doing this backwards. And well, quite frankly, if it sticks, it sticks. It's not going to be the end of the world. This is once again an experiment, and this is not the first time I've tried experimenting here on YouTube Live either. So let's just do it and see how it all turns out. And yes, I admit as well, I am using store-bought ingredients here, including free shredded cheese. I do know very well that shredding your own cheese probably has a better result, and I have done that many times before, and I have definitely liked the results of that. I live in BSR country, says Cynthia Wesley. When pizza is good, it's very good. When it's bad, it's still okay. Well, there is that. This is that other lesson that I have learned in cooking, and I've said this many times, and you're probably tired of hearing this, and that is my mantra, which is in cooking, there are a few disasters and many learning experiences, but fortunately, we can still eat the learning experiences. Pre-shredded cheese basically has sawdust in it. Yes, it does have an anti-clumping agent in it. Yes, but I for one have not had a problem eating this pre-shredded cheese. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, there are no anchovies in this. Okay, so far so good. Maybe a little bit more in the center. And then I think we will move on to the next step, which would simply be the sauce. Although, actually, from this, I think I will put an additional, lay down an additional bit of cheese. And that would be, of course, your usual grated Parmesan. Open this container up. Yeah, I did buy this one especially for this video here. Also, carefully. There we go. Because they say there's no such thing as too much cheese. And then finally, well, not finally. All right, next up will be the sauce. And I've got to lay this out carefully because, yeah, since I'm not spreading this out on dough, I want to be sure that the sauce doesn't get too far down into the cheese. Also, I want to try to be sure to have enough sauce to make another pizza if this one turns out right. Oh, and one other thing, I have heated the oven at this point to 425 degrees. The videos I have seen with this upside down pizza here have varied between 400 degrees and 450 degrees, and so I decided to compromise and go with 425, especially since, well, again, we're using a cast iron pan here, and that, of course, can also affect the cooking. All right, and finally, here comes my attempt once again at laying down this dough. Oh, come on. Okay. This is the dough that I made a mistake with a few minutes ago. Oh, and this one is breaking open now, in fact. Well, let's try to do this right. Stretch it out a little bit more. Actually, this doesn't seem to be turning out too bad. This is the dough that I ended up accidentally pre-cooking a little bit. Let me see if I could patch this up with maybe a little bit more dough here. Try to even it out. And actually, this is not looking too badly. Now, here at this point, we are supposed to brush on more olive oil. So that is what we are going to do. Oh yeah, my BSR number 14 will get jealous. Yes, I considered bringing out old Stumpy for this, but as I said, I really wasn't sure how successful this is going to be. So instead of a 14-inch pizza, I'm settling for a 12-inch pizza, 12.5-inch pizza tonight. That's all right. There will be plenty of other pizzas with good old Stumpy. All right. So far, so good. In fact, with any luck, good old Stumpy is going to be coming out to play this coming Sunday because it seems that I'm having something of a family gathering of my, well, I guess you could say my new family, in that they're going to be visiting here for dinner. And I have a turkey thawing out in the fridge right now for that, in fact. I had a turkey in the freezer, and I thought this would be a good excuse to thaw it out and bring it out. All right. Hello as well to Kevin Brown. Nice to see you here on this channel. Um, Sweet green peppers, shrooms, meatballs, sausage, and onions. Yes, indeed. You can put really anything you want on your pizza. That, of course, is one of the many arguments that people give about pizza. You know, whether or not you're supposed to use only the official or approved ingredients, which is why some people really go crazy over not having pineapple on pizza. I've had it and I enjoy it. I think it's good myself. All right. Finally, after all this, I think I will lay down just a little bit more ground pepper, not too much. And maybe a little bit more garlic, or at least garlic powder. Again, not too much. And then from here, I guess we will just have to see what happens. What's this say? Huggy Bear. fathead is basically just cheese, egg, and almond flour. Ooh, that sounds pretty good in itself. All right. Well, I suppose it's now or never. If this is successful, in fact, we may even be able to make another pizza. We might even be able to make another pizza. Sorry about that. I probably got too far away from the mic. But let's into the oven and let's see how well this works. And you're supposed to cook this until the crust is a nice dark brown on the top. Um, One other thing that seems to vary with these videos of the upside down pizza, I guess it depends on whether or not that pizza is actually done. Because in a number of those videos, they flip it over, and it seems that the toppings are not thoroughly cooked. In which case, then they just put it back into the oven for another few minutes, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that either. Right. We had a pizza place that would make a pie with the works, weighed about 20 pounds for a large one. Wow, that is some pizza, that's for sure. But then again, it is true, Val. We are here in New York, and New York State really does love its pizza, whether it's New York City or elsewhere in the States. I live in a town here as well that actually has themselves a neighborhood they call Little Italy, and it has about two or three really excellent pizza places that could probably compete with New York City, in fact. So, and that would actually be saying a lot. Okay. Yeah, I usually use half an anchovy for each cup of sauce. Makes such a difference. That doesn't sound like a bad plan. I may have to consider that the next time I make pizza sauce. My pizza sauce is usually pretty simple and easy. All right. But while we're waiting at this point, let me make sure the oven light is on. Anyway, while we're waiting at this point, I mean, here's the part, of course, where we can pass the time and have a, nice, decent discussion of cast iron as well. So, whether it in regards to making pizza or not, that makes me think of something I could probably bring out. I'll put it down here and we'll see what people think. Let's see here. And that would be the Lodge Pizza Pan, which, unless I'm mistaken, might actually have a rust spot or two on it. I'm definitely going to have to freshen this up, largely because I have to be honest, even though I have the new modern Lodge Pizza Pan, I really have not made very many pizzas on this one. That's because I've been making most of my pizzas on good old Stumpy. On the other hand, they have mentioned some, oh, that's where it is. Oh, right about here. Okay. They have mentioned some tricks of pizza making include even when you're using a cast iron pan, you might want to put a pizza steel or a second cast iron pan into the oven and preheat that. At which point, then you take your cast iron pizza pan and put it on top of this and get some extra heating from it that way. I've done that a couple of times, and I do think that the results might actually be better than just simply using the cast iron pan. Although, I'm not sure if there really has been that much of a difference, and that's something that I might even want to do an experiment to really see how much of a difference there might be. The more industry you have in your area, the more pizza joints are available. Well, that's definitely true too. Um, Although, yeah, I mean, competition is certainly a good thing. I mean, that's why we do have a couple of the usual pizza places in my town, including a Domino's, and yet the Domino's is still doing good business, whereas at least one of the local pizza places recently shut down. So, unfortunately, that just seems to be how the economy is going. Anyway, we are getting ready to use my Lodge pizza pan to make chocolate chip cookies now. Ooh, that sounds very good, Honey Badger, actually. I should note that Lodge redesigned their pizza pan only over the last few years or so when they released their brand new bakeware series. This is when they essentially produced several baking pans that you would have thought that Lodge would have done these in cast iron a long time ago, but apparently they did not. This is when they first introduced the cast iron pie plate from Lodge, the casserole pan from Lodge, which really they had not been producing until then. And they had before been producing a pizza pan because pizza, of course, is very popular. But the first generation Lodge pizza pan had a rim all around the edge. And maybe somebody can confirm if they are still producing that one, in fact. However, in addition to that, as I mentioned with the bakeware series, they then redesigned their pizza pan to make it completely flat without any rim around around the edge. And as far as pizza making is concerned, that's probably an improvement. Except, as I mentioned in my case, I'm already using Stumpy most of the time for making pizzas. Radagast, my daughter worked her way through college working for Domino's. Oh, yeah, no, I'm not bashing Domino's for that reason. Uh, the pizza pan makes the best dressed up frozen pizza. Yes, that is true too. I did a short video of that maybe about a month or so ago as well. Sam Ostroff. I find that the pizza pan is excellent using it on the grill to make smash burgers. Yes, indeed. I mean, after all, this pizza, what is this pizza pan? It's essentially a griddle. You could do everything with this pizza pan that you can do with a cast iron griddle. And likewise, the other way around. About the only difference between this Lodge pizza pan and a typical Lodge cast iron griddle is, well, the pizza pan is round and the griddle is not. But I have indeed used a griddle to make rectangular shaped pizza, and it comes out just fine. Wells Black Cat's rules. I ordered pizza once and they asked if they wanted it cut in 6 or 8 slices. I said 6 because I couldn't eat 8. Haha. Yes. I always say that if I get a chance to go to New York, I want to try that pizza barn in Yonkers. There are so many. I mean, New York City has so many incredible places to eat. I don't think anybody will be able to try all of them in all of their lives. I've said enough times that I went on a special trip to New York for my 50th birthday. Oh, good grief. Was that really 7 years ago? And I found some wonderful places to eat, and yet there were so many more that I had not heard of, and so I did not end up going there. Yeah, I mean, really, New York City, I'm pleased to say, at least 2 days of my trip there, I spent literally just walking around and just and seeing all of the amazing and weird storefronts, and occasionally going in and browsing and discovering something. I mean, literally, much of my vacation was spent like that, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. It was in by doing that that I discovered, well, among other things, my 12-inch chef knife that I consider to be a 50th birthday present. So, yes, I could spend 2 days in New York City just in the Natural History Museum. Oh, tell me about it. I want to go to the Met, for instance, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and spend at least a couple of days there with friends. With museums, I find I am not really a good solo museum goer. Going by myself, I can enjoy it, but I find it a lot better to go with, excuse me, with friends, so that I can have a good discussion with them. By the way, at this point, let me check and see what the pizza looks like. Let's take a look here. Oh, it's off to a pretty decent start so far. It looks like I do still have a little ways to go yet. As I said, I had preheated that oven to 425 degrees. Um, and I probably should have timed it, in fact. Actually, I could see that pizza's been in the oven for maybe about 10 minutes or so. I wouldn't be surprised if in about another 10 minutes or so we can take it out. I've shared this before, Jamie Ledgerwood, but since it's pizza tonight, I called Domino's, placed my order, and asked for light sauce. Kid working said, "Sorry, ma'am, we only have red sauce." Yeah. Well, Okay. I mean, yeah, I know you could say that about just about any chain fast food place, that they hire people with, well, who aren't the brightest bulbs in the bunch, admittedly. I mean, my late father in law had a description for those kind of people, and he called it DDM, Dunkin' Donuts mentality. So you could certainly apply that to Domino's or McDonald's or Burger King or Popeyes, and like, and yet on the other hand, I mean, local mom and pop stores are usually so much better in their quality product, yet I'm not so sure if some of the people working at those places are really any more intelligent. I mean, yes, granted, the bakers and the chefs obviously know their stuff. They have to be able to keep up with the quality there. But in a lot of other ways, that doesn't necessarily mean they're any better than the kid you saw working at Domino's. I've been considering getting one over a pizza stone. Well, for everything I have never had a pizza stone. However, everything I have heard suggests that a pizza steel or cast iron pizza pan uh, beats out a pizza stone in every way possible. I have seen, I think it's even heavy duty foodie sites like the Food Lab. I believe they actually compared a pizza steel to a pizza stone, and the steel did a much better job cooking the underside of the pizza. Not to mention the fact that a pizza stone can break, it can crack. And whereas a cast iron pizza pan is almost certainly guaranteed to last the rest of your life. Yes, it is true, cast iron can crack under certain circumstances, but hopefully, that is a rare occurrence. And so, when you get a cast iron pizza pan, once again, I believe the term that you end up using is buy it for life. Val's Black Cats Rules. I had the luxury of being friends with a couple who own pizza places, but love being their guinea pig for new pies. Oh, that sounds like a real opportunity, that's for sure. Talk to strangers about their thoughts about subjects in front of us. Okay, let me scroll back about that one. Let's see here. Honey Badger. I like to go to museums and art museums by myself and talk to strangers about their thoughts about subjects in front of us. Great perspectives I'd never thought of. Yeah, that's certainly a possibility as well. But even so, I still want to be able to have a chance to go and spend a day or two at the Met with some of my closest friends and see what we discover. I build my pizzas in a cast iron pan and heat on a stove eye before putting in the oven. Yes, that is another method that I have seen and I've tried a couple of times, and I think it's given a nice result as well. I usually heat my oven up to 500 degrees, and I don't even preheat the pizza pan. I have done times when I preheat the pizza pan, but I find it works better when I don't preheat the pizza pan. The main reason why is with a preheated pan, when you put the dough in, it starts cooking it immediately, and it makes it much more difficult to stretch the dough out into a round circular shape. So, I mean, that's one reason why when in those professional pizza places, they always prepare their pizza on the peel and then slide it onto the hot pizza stone. And but as I said, when I preheated the pizza pan, I did have that trouble producing a round pizza. So my preferred method, really, which I did not do tonight, my preferred method is to simply take the dough. Well, first, oil or use olive oil on the pizza on the cast iron pan. Take the dough, stretch it out, and then let it rest in the pan for at least an hour or two, so that it will relax the dough, and the dough will also continue to expand a little bit, so that actually it's necessary to punch down the dough before you put the toppings down. And when I put that into a 500 or a 550-degree oven, I find that even so, it still cooks the bottom of the pizza with no problem at all. But that's just the way I've been doing it. Wifey used my number 14 Griswold skillet for pizza. After eating, she said that was now her pizza pan. I have visitation rights but lost ownership. To who do I file the appeal? Well, and so hubby, I think I can only say is, um, I you're stuck with it, like it or not. I mean, if that's her pizza pan, then I guess that's her pizza pan. Okay, pizza stones seem to break easily. Yes, exactly. They're supposed to be really gold or good, I guess. Huggy Bear. Um, yeah, Greg Hart. This method works great for me as well. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the best thing to do is find the method that works best for you, and then, of course, just practice that method, and you'll end up with a really decent pizza. My ceramic pizza stone broken too. Yes, that's the whole point, Brody YYC. And even though I have never owned a pizza stone myself, I have read and seen all of these stories about that. But more importantly, again, I've seen these videos and articles comparing a pizza steel to a pizza stone, and in every case, the pizza steel comes out better. A funny thing is that the pizza steel seems to be the preferred method for all of the professional foodie channels and professional chefs and all that. And very few of them mention a cast iron pizza steel, even a pizza pan, even though really the only difference between steel and cast iron is the carbon content, as well as the cast iron pizza pan seems to be somewhat less expensive than the pizza steel. I mean, depending on the bargain you can find, you might be able to find a large cast iron pizza pan for maybe $30 if you're lucky in some instances, like maybe a sale at TJ Maxx or something. The regular price they sell for this thing, I believe, is $50. And yet, on the other hand, the professional pizza steels that they sell usually go for $75, $100, or even more. My pizza stone looks like a jigsaw puzzle. Will still work if the pieces are shoved together. I put down a piece of parchment paper, make the pizza on the peel, pull the parchment out after a couple of minutes in the oven. I use a large pizza pan, works great, Mark Sieber. Well, as I just said, use the method that works best for you. And I better check this pizza once again. And wow, this thing is puffing up. I'll certainly say that much. Um, Maybe I might not have used enough olive oil. I'm not sure what kind of browning this thing is getting. Although it looks like the sides might be. I think I'll just be patient and wait maybe another couple of minutes or so. All right, or at least 5 minutes. Okay. Sounds great. Oh, actually, I just realized I had better consider what I'm going to flip that pizza out onto. Wait a second. I could always flip it out onto this, couldn't I? All right. Cover that stray dough ball. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. Let me quickly grab maybe a piece of something. Um, Here it is. Well, cover that stray dough ball. Who said that? Might have to try that. Okay. Whoever told me to cover this stray dough ball, you are certainly right. But I'm not sure if you were here at the very beginning of this video where I admitted to making a mistake in that I accidentally turned on the oven and started preheating it while the dough was still in there proofing. So so I ended up very partially cooking the underside of the dough ball. Okay, yeah. Amazon has them for $39.90. Most everyone else $49.95. Yes, that's kind of what I mean, Corey Clark. You never know what kind of deal you're going to get, especially on brands like Lodge. Um, in that Lodge is a little more expensive than the Asian made generic brands that they have these days. And there are a lot of Lodge imitators on Amazon too, I've noticed. Take another look right now. Hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. It doesn't. Maybe I should have brushed on a lot more olive oil onto the top of that. Let me take this out of the oven right now, and let's see what folks may think. That means I got to dig out my glove. And this is what we have so far. I mean, it certainly feels like we've got a done crust here, and all around it's certainly bubbling as well. I'm not sure if it darkened as much as I would have liked. This again was at 425 degrees. On the other hand, as I said, I do have the makings of a second pizza. So I might actually try a second one to see how it turns out. It might also be because, again, I accidentally started pre cooking the dough. And boy, did this thing puff up too. And yeah, look at all of this grease on on the side. If I put this on a on this flat cast iron pan, it's likely to get grease all over everything. So I think I had better dig up something else. Like, hey, how about this? I haven't even taken the label off of this one yet. Yes, you saw that right. A Walmart pizza pan, which, as you can see, I have not even used to cook pizza because I certainly have no intention of using it to cook pizza. On the other hand, it does make a good tray, and that's the reason why I got this. All right. Hey guys, hello, Hogwild Cast Iron Restoration. Need some holes in it. Well, there is that. Okay, as I said, there's certainly time that I think I might very well try preparing a second pizza. But I guess we'd better see whether this is going to work or not. Whether I might end up getting stuff all over the place or if it will stick. Let me get my glove again because this is a hot pan, including the handle here. Uh, well, it's certainly not sticking to the sides. So I guess all we can do is give it a try. Better grab this nice and tight, especially so that You saw that little short video I posted on YouTube? I better make sure I'm not one of them like that. So, in fact, I better get another glove. How about that? Right. Because, yeah, I really don't want to burn myself either. All right, here we are. Hold this down nice and tight. And is it going to spill all over the place? The answer is no, it's not. Now, will it stick? I guess there's only one way to find out now. And guess what? It didn't stick. Well, maybe sort of. It's sort of stuck. Okay. That's not the worst result. And actually, this thing rose pretty good. Look at this crust. I mean, aside from the fact that this thing is pretty goopy, I guess this is the part where they would probably put it back in the oven and heat it some more. Let me see if I can just use my rubber spatula, get the rest of this cheese off and onto the pizza. In fact, considering that, I kind of regret not doing this onto another cast iron pan. Let me put this down because it's hot. However, well, as I said, it's kind of messed up, but it's certainly not a failure because look at that, looking now, I'd have to say it wouldn't look that bad. I'll bet that if I put this thing back in under the broiler or something, this might not actually look bad at all. Scoop the goodies back. Yes, that's exactly what I did. Scoop the goodies back on. I'd try putting cornmeal in the bottom of it. That might just do it. That might not be a bad idea. Might docker the dough next pizza to keep it from rising. Okay. Well, anyway, so here is our result. It's not real. I mean, it does not look as nice as a typical pizza, but on the whole, I'd say this doesn't look too bad at all, does it? All right. Hey, and actually, like I said, this side here is done not too badly. Okay, so you know what? I think I'm going to put this to a very quick poll for you guys. I have the makings to make a second pizza. Would you like me to try making another upside down pizza, or shall we do a traditional pizza? You know, put the dough in the pan first. It seems the top didn't stick to the pan, but it didn't stick to the dough. There is that. So, all right. So, would you want traditional? Okay, so far two, three, four are saying traditional. Okay, I guess that answers it. Everybody wants to do a traditional pizza. Okay, we'll do a traditional pizza. That was easy. But hey, here is our experiment: upside down pizza. The end result, I would call it I would not call it a failure. So, how about a partial success? What would you say about that? Especially since, well, even so, the underside didn't brown very much either. That's the other thing. Okay, put some cheese on that one, then back in the oven. I could certainly do that. All right. Why not? Besides, there's time. So, even though, oh, heaven forbid, I guess, folks, you are about to see me on my Cast Iron Chaos channel put a pizza pan into the oven that is not cast iron. Oh. Well, there's a first time for everything. And anyway, I did say that this is kind of like an April Fool's episode anyway. Actually, I should show you what I'm planning for my April Fool's episode. Okay, let's do this. Like you said, just for a few minutes, and please somebody remind me so I don't forget. Let's get this into the oven right now. All right, there it goes. Oh, I've just used a non-stick pizza pan. That's definitely an April Fool's joke. All right, now, as for the BSNR number 12, let's see if I can. Okay, the rest of this stuff looks like it's scraping off not too badly. So let me get this quickly onto like a dish or something. Here's an extra bowl. Get the rest of this so that way it won't burn when I make the next pizza. All right. Anyway, I could see I have pretty much inspired nobody to try making an upside down pizza, which I am not complaining about. This was an experiment anyway, really just an excuse to have some fun. All right, so that means now that we've done that, let's see how well we can go the traditional route. That means got to start again with some more olive oil. Please remind me as well. I think we'll have to take that pizza out in only a couple of minutes. Actually, I should probably use more olive oil than that. There we go. I like experimenting with cooking techniques. So do I've learned a lot doing this because not everything has been a failure. There have been some times when I found something that turned out really, really good. I could still remember when I made the best pie crust ever, and that was when I took suet and chopped it up with a knife rather than running it through a grinder, for instance. All right, so that takes care of that. Here in the oven. Well, the mozzarella has melted so far, it has not yet started to brown. So that means now that we've done that, I have to attempt to get this other dough ball into the pan. This is the one that, as I mentioned before, I had also partially cooked, unfortunately, or at least the underside. So just gonna have to manage this as best as I can. Whoops, and I don't want to drop that on the floor. Sorry. All right. That means, how are we going to do this? Well, for starters, I need to put a little bit more flour. Okay, that means as well. Oh, good. This pan is already cooled up to the point where it's not scorching hot. All right. Try it this way. Lift this a little bit. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Just have patience. And also, I don't want to break it. Stretch it out as best as we can. I'll probably have to let it relax for a few minutes. But then again, it's about time, I think, to take that other pizza out of the pan, out of the oven once again. Let me take a look again. We might be getting just to that point. The mozzarella still looks white. Okay, lower this down a little bit. Yeah, here's the part where I should simply let it rest for a few minutes. Then I should be able to stretch it out to all sides of the pan here. In the future, a good tip is to put a little cornmeal on the pan before you lay down the dough. That's not a bad tip, and I have done that in the past, yes. However, I'm not trying to brag, but one thing I have not had a problem with my pizzas is having the dough stick to the pan. I am hard pressed to think of a time where that has happened. Yeah, and watch, tonight I'll probably be proven wrong. I mean, I did, of course, grease the pan first. All right, now I will just put this to the side. Yeah, this is warm, but as I said, not blazing hot anymore. Put this to the side. And we will get the other pizza out of the pan. All right, here we are. April Fools, everyone. Again, this really doesn't look too bad. It may not be a world-class pizza, but I'd have to say it doesn't look bad. We have a little bit of browning on the bottom too. Pizza Hut pockets. All right, yeah, just the cheese. Love watching you make awesome dish. Well, okay. Yeah. There have been a few times where I've made awesome dishes. I don't know if this you would call this awesome, but it's not bad, and I would certainly say this is certainly edible. So, once again, wow, this is hot. I would still not call this a failure. I mean, it was an interesting experiment. I don't know if I'm going to do the upside down pizza ever again, though. I adore a slightly charred bottom crust. What cast iron pans does everyone use? Heavy like BSR or light cast iron Griswold? Larry Perkins, my personal preference is, in fact, the heavy pans like BSR, Lodge, and some of the modern day ones like Finex, for instance. There are some folks who definitely prefer the lighter cast iron, like Griswold and Wagner and the like. And Val's Black Cats Rule says I use both. Yeah, I do have quite a few Griswold pans in my collection as well. I think given a choice, I would probably end up going with the again with the heavy pans like BSR. All right. Anyway, now that we have done this much, I guess I'll just need to. Actually, yeah. Looks like I'm going to have to discard the rest of this pre cooked dough. As I mentioned, I had, accidentally turned on the oven. So I will just discard this and then put that other pizza onto this. So give me one very quick second. Yeah, this is not why I originally named my channel Cast Iron Chaos, but it certainly seems like that's how it's turning out. Not just this week, but most weeks. I mean, it's like people tune in to find out, gee, what mistakes is he going to make tonight? Because they always seem to happen. Nonetheless, here again is our upside down pizza, which, as I said, is not the worst pizza in the world. And again, anybody I think could still eat this. All right, very kind lady sent me two BSR skillets. That got me hooked on really good cast iron. Well, congratulations for that. Fuzz Pork 8. Wow, this thing is hot. Okay, so let's put this aside. Break out the other pan. And now it does look like the dough is much more relaxed and we are much more able to stretch it out to fill this 12-inch pan. It still looks like it's still springing back a little bit, but we're not doing too badly here. All right, I think I will leave it. Okay, that means now we've got a much more traditional pizza coming up, as you folks requested. And I have no complaints about that. All right, there comes a little bit more. Okay, so far so good. That means now we get to brush a little bit of olive oil onto the top of this. Doesn't have to be very much, mostly for the crust around the outside more than anything else. Okay, then to that, we get to start laying down the sauce. All right, no special oven needed. Yeah, that's one of the advantages as well of cooking in cast iron, in that you can make a good pizza with just about any oven, including most of the ovens for homes that we have here in the United States, which means quite often we have pretty cheap stoves. I was cooking on an electric stove for the last, I think, like 13 years or so before I finally moved to my current home here in New York, hopefully my final home, which is indeed lucky enough to have a gas stove. There we go. Here is our sauce. Now we start laying stuff down. That means, okay. Yeah, that's a thought. I actually intentionally got provolone cheese as well to try as a pizza topping rather than the traditional mozzarella. As good as mozzarella is, I do like trying things different. Jacob Beimler. I like using my 17-inch large double-handle skillet for pizza. You have got yourself about the world's greatest pizza pan there, because that 17-inch skillet means you're making at least like a 16-inch pizza. And how the hell am I supposed to open this thing? Pull the zipper, huh? Okay. So, yes, you can make yourself an oversized pizza in that thing. And definitely, I have no doubt at all that when you make pizza, your family comes running. All right. To this, well, I do my best to keep it real. Thank you very much for the kind words. Okay. How thick is this? Okay. All right. Rather than mozzarella on this one, we are laying out provolone. Just because I'd like to see how it turns out, and after all, I do love provolone. So why not? One more in the center. Actually, yeah, there we go. And then to this, we start adding on once again. We should probably start laying down the pepperoni. Okay, if we were totally honest about pizza, we would state that it is the sauce that what sets off a good pizza from a bad one. Well, I certainly hope that's the case. I use a very basic and simple pizza sauce myself. This is really no more than crushed tomatoes, salt, pepper, garlic powder. Sometimes I mix in some red pepper flakes And I also mix in some grated Parmesan right into the sauce. And oh yeah, and oregano. And I, for one, am happy with this very basic pizza sauce. I mean, I know there are people, of course, who drown their pizzas in like about 10,000 toppings, and that's perfectly fine. After all, it's your pizza. You can make whatever you want with it. But for me, I do like, if not bare bones, I do like the basic stuff. He said, as he is actually making a provolone cheese pizza rather than a traditional mozzarella cheese pizza. Okay. As a cheat, ragu makes a decent pizza sauce. Yes, I am also not one of those people who bashes store-bought ingredients. There are many purists out there who insist that everything has to be handmade, all the way down to the dough, as well as everything else. I mean, heck, you might even grind your own sausage and make your own pepperoni. But I, for one, um, am not afraid, or correction, I am not against using store-bought ingredients, like such as these canned mushrooms, for instance, because I do find that canned mushrooms do seem to taste better on a pizza. One of the best pizzas I ever had was in New York City. And I asked, at that time, I asked for cheese and mushrooms. And what I got was cheese and mushrooms and mushrooms and mushrooms. I mean, they must have used a whole can of mushrooms on that particular pizza. Not to mention having this mozzarella that pulled like about half a mile or so. So yeah, that was one of the best pizzas I'd ever had. And in New York City, that's typical everyday pizza. All right. So here is our pepperoni and mushroom. And I love mushrooms anyway, so I certainly won't say no to that. And then to this, I think I'll give it one more shake of Parmesan. All right. Nice and easy. The trick with fresh shrooms, you got to saute them in butter first before putting them on the pizza. All of that is good advice, Huggy Bear. I certainly will not. I certainly will not disagree with that. Love to slice just off the vine tomatoes and fresh herbs. Yeah, and there is nothing as well. Really, there is nothing in the world like an original traditional Neapolitan pizza. You know, the margarita pizza from the kind that is originally made in Naples, which is really no more than tomatoes, and not tomato sauce, but tomatoes, basil, mozzarella pieces, and basil leaves. The very basic pizza, when done right, is really pretty much a slice of heaven. In a hurry, I cut bread and applied pizza toppings to both sides. And of course, there's the famous French bread pizza or the English muffin pizza. There's really almost no way to do this wrong. All right, having said all that, let's get this last pizza into the oven. The oven is currently at 425 degrees. Maybe I should actually turn up the temperature to 450. Not sure if it will be that much of a difference, but it is now the temperature is going to go up to 450. You can always judge a good pizza place by how good their margarita pizza is. That is true, especially since there are many places that don't have margarita pizza. They have your generic pizzas, your cheese, your mushroom no, yeah, your mushroom pizza, your pepperoni pizza, and your meat lovers pizza. But a lot of those places do not know how to make a good margarita. Not that there's anything wrong with the pizzas in those places, but as you said, a pizza place that can make a margarita pizza is usually a pizza place that's a cut above the rest. I used to love French bread pizza, but they changed the sauce. Tastes like crap nowadays. Well, then Fuzz Fork 8 will just have to make you'll just have to make your own French bread pizza, I guess. Especially since you're using French bread, that makes it so much easier because all you have to do is design the best sauce that you like. Because yeah, the hard part for me really has been getting the dough to come out just right. I mean, I can make a decent pizza dough because anybody can make a decent pizza dough, but most of my pizza doughs are not of the quality that you might see in a pizza restaurant. All right, let's bring this out once again at this point. This thing has certainly cooled off somewhat, so might as well. Excuse me one second. Dig out the pizza cutter. I have stores for almost all of my kitchen utensils. I found this at a flea market, in fact. There was one guy at a stand that was selling apparently brand new, but cast off or second hand or seconds kitchen utensils. And it was from here that I got this Dexter pizza steel. So this is pizza cutter, I mean. So this is not a dollar store pizza cutter, and I'm quite happy about that. Crunch. And like you said earlier, I'm just going to slice this into 6 slices. This tray here, by the way, is just your simple dollar store so-called pizza pan, which of course is terrible as a pizza pan, but it makes a good tray. Nonetheless, here again is our upside down pizza. It's actually still steaming a little bit, so that's not bad at all. But on the whole, as I said, I don't think anybody would be averse to eating this pizza, probably including me. It looks like we only got a little bit of browning on the bottom, though. That might be again because this dough was partially pre-cooked. How about doing a good Sicilian style in a big old pan? Dexter makes good stuff. Yes, they do. I learned a little bit about knives made in the USA, and there is quite a long and good history of knife making in the USA. Dexter Russell is one of the oldest knife makers in the USA, and they make a whole bunch of restaurant styles, not cutlery. Okay, I got to give this a try. Mm, mm. Mm-hmm. mm. Oh, what can I say? It is almost impossible to make a bad pizza. This is definitely not a world-class pizza, but it's still a pizza, and it's a pretty good pizza. Mm. 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 Oh yeah. Mm. Mm. At least I think the sauce turned out good too. Okay. Oh, the oven has just hit 450 at this point. Bottom is raw. Well, it's partially cooked. I mean, you can see it did expand. Let me show you this cross section here. So it's not exactly raw, but it's probably not cooked as well as it could have been. I will also not deny that. As I said, this is definitely not the best pizza made in my kitchen. But on the other hand, it's not a bad pizza either, and I'm certainly not a problem with that. You don't have a problem with eating it. All right. Nonetheless, having said all that, let me check on the other pizza at this point. I think the other one is not doing too badly. Hmm. On the whole, I might say that the other pizza may very well be done in like anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes or so, which is not a bad time. All right. Hello, Janie, Marjorie Marriott. I do the double cast iron pan technique to add extra heat to the oven, especially if I have to open the oven door to turn another pan, even an ordinary metal bread pan. Yeah, that's not a bad plan. That's not a bad idea either. Hungry kids won't care what it looks like. There is that. Yeah, because on the whole, the sauce on that pizza that I just made, I am liking it. I think the sauce definitely helps make the pizza passable, at least. But yes, and yeah, Joni, I learned that trick only recently of putting a second cast iron pan in to the oven and then placing the cast iron pizza pan onto it. I believe I learned it, in fact, from Brian Lagerstrom's channel. My technique allows you to cook frozen pizza in 5 minutes. Wow. How hot do you heat your oven? How you pronounce this? Ioneri Giacomo. Do you heat your oven to like 500 or 600 degrees? Because, yeah, frozen pizza in 5 minutes, that really sounds like an accomplishment. I can do a store bought frozen pizza in about 20 minutes, or actually 15 minutes if you go by the box instructions. I did that a couple of weeks ago in a short video, and in which case, though, the box instructions said to cook it for 20 minutes. However, because I preheated the cast iron pan before I put the frozen pizza into it, I had that pizza done in 15 minutes. May not be 4 minutes, as you say. Boy, do you have a brick-fired oven or something? Well, then again, if I understand right, an actual brick-fired oven can cook a pizza in like about 2 minutes. Even so, that still sounds pretty impressive. Frozen pizza in less than 1 minute. Well, you can't even do that with a microwave, Ronald Coward. So, and anyway, once you have cooked your pizza in a cast iron pan, even a store bought pizza, you will never be satisfied with microwaving your pizza ever again. I can promise you that. Even when it comes to reheating your pizza. Okay, what do we have now? Definitely is looking pretty good. I might give it about another minute or so, and then I think we can see what this pizza looks like. Sounds good and basic. Do not like real sweet sauce. That's one nice thing, Cynthia Caldwell. That's one nice thing about building your own pizzas, in that you can tailor the sauce to your tastes. I mean, you can just use store bought pizza sauce. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. But pizza sauce is so easy to make that you could very well just simply design your own sauce. All you really need are crushed tomatoes and then the proper kinds of spices. I have sometimes pre cooked the sauce, sometimes I have not pre cooked the sauce. And I actually think I prefer the raw crushed tomatoes in my sauce rather than pre cooking it. Yeah, largely because the best pizzas, especially New York pizzas, there is a little bit of sweetness to the sauce. Something that I just cannot seem to achieve when I pre-cook the pizza sauce. But then again, there are a lot of things in pizza that I still can't achieve yet, and I'm still working on. However, yeah, I would say it's just about time now to see how this pizza turned out. Where the heck did my glove go? Okay, and pizza number two. It actually looks like the top might looks like a little bit dried out, but maybe that's because I sprinkled Parmesan on the top. However, here is pizza number two, which again I made with provolone rather than mozzarella. That might be one reason why the cheese still looks white rather than browned. Making pizza is a journey and I will never finish. Yeah, you could say that again, Larry Perkins. I will certainly agree with you on that. I'm not so sure it's possible to create authentic New York style pizza at home. Brody YYC, I'm tending to agree with you on that, despite the fact that there are several videos that say, I've made a New York style pizza in my kitchen. Um, I don't know. I would tend to agree with you. It does look like this pizza has definitely puffed up. So let's see how this turned out. Remember what I said about I have almost never had a pizza stick to the pan? Um, well, come on. There we go. Come on. All right. Haha. Oh, hot, hot, hot. Ow, holy cow, hot. In fact, it almost dripped off the pizza. The topping does. That's something that happens with delivery pizzas a lot. The toppings just tend to slide off. And much like the other one, there is only a little bit of browning on the bottom. As I said, I think that's because I partially cooked the dough in advance by mistake. But nonetheless, here is our next pizza here. All right, not bad. I think I'll just wait a few minutes anyway before cutting into this one. One day I will share my secret, but not today. Well, you can certainly do what you like, Ionary Giacomo. That needs to go back into the oven. All right, more oil in the pan. Okay. Well, let me see what I can do about that. Um, oh boy, it looks like I may very well have to put this back into this nonstick pan again. All right, there we are. So let's drizzle a little bit more olive oil onto this. The thing about the nonstick pan is I think that's going to prevent this from browning. But let's get this back into the oven. All right. Remember the hot dog I built with a neon green sauce? Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was a Chicago hot dog. And you know that, I think that actually turned out excellent. I was not expecting it to be that good because of all of the incredible toppings that were on that. But I was impressed because it actually worked. Oh yeah, and boy, I can't believe it's been that long since we've done that hot dogs. Didn't that hot dog video? May have to recreate that a little later this summer. All right, not sharing. Well, that's okay. Floppy and underdone. Okay. All right. Well, if that's what you say, John S., I will not disagree with that. That's why I did, as you said, and put it back into the oven. All right. Maybe 450 next time. Well, it is at 450 now. We'll see what happens in maybe about another 5 to 10 minutes, and then we will continue. Didn't you make a Mountain Dew cheesecake? Yes, I made that for April Fool's Day last year, in fact, Rocket Caver. That was last year. I think I might as well show a sneak preview of what I'm preparing for April Fool's Day this year. Yeah. I'd like to see how many people see this and don't throw up. All right. Okay, Mount Olive kosher dills. However, what we have in this jar is not pickles. It is, in fact, a steak. This is, in fact, a sirloin steak in here. I have been brining this steak in pickle brine since Monday. So we're talking like the last 3 days or so. And so in just a couple more days, I will take this out and see what a pickle brine steak tastes like after it's cooked in a cast iron pan. And that is going to be my April Fool's Day video. So I've just given you a sneak preview of that. I guess a bonus for you folks in the live video here. Let me get this back into the fridge. Okay, I'd also had an idea, and maybe I might still do this around April Fool's Day as well, of making something that I might call a generic viral foodie video, in which I take all the most common things you see in a viral video and put them together into one pan and see what happens. That means I would have to take some boneless, skinless chicken breasts, put them in a casserole dish, cover them with bacon, and then drown it all in tons and tons of cheese. That's what you usually see in those viral videos, and then see how it all turns out. That steak looks like my possum I get in a mason jar with the fur still on it. Yes, indeed. That's going to be an interesting video, that's for sure. But again, as I said, on April Fool's Day, I like doing something a little bit different. Not all of them turn out to be edible. I will firmly admit that. There is one video I made for April Fool's Day in which I am definitely not going to repeat this, and that was when I tried to cook ox penis. Yeah, that was a forgettable one, if I may say so. On the other hand, I think the funniest April Fool's Day video I've managed to produce so far was the one during the pandemic when I made grasshopper gravy. Essentially, I actually ordered some grasshoppers that had been pre-cooked and and toasted them in a cast iron pan and made a gravy out of them. Anybody who has seen that video should remember what the ending of that video was like. And I think that was one of the best moments of my April Fool's videos. Anyway, that sounds like something I actually just made, except I used bone in, skin on breast. Yeah. Other than chicken cordon bleu, I'm not a chicken with cheese fan. Well, I can't say no. I like cheese on chicken, and I've had it in several ways, and in a lot of cases, it has turned out good. The reason why I suggested those ingredients is because that's what you usually see in those viral videos, especially the ones where you have the chef reaction to them, making saying these horrible dishes that they make. That's always the one where they end up putting a ton of bacon on and then drowning it in tons and tons of cheese. Usually, in fact, they break open one of those huge cans of jalapeno cheese or whatever it is that you get at the restaurant stores and pour the whole bleeping thing into the pan. I can guess how that video ended. Oh yeah, Huggy Bear. Yeah, actually, that's exactly how that video ended, and that was one of the funniest moments I've managed to get in my April Fool's videos. For that reason, I really enjoy that video, and I would really encourage you folks to take a look at that video if you want to laugh. It's called Grasshopper Gravy, and you'll find it on my channel without much difficulty. I can't understand why people eat a possum. Well, you never know. Maybe, and now that you've mentioned that, maybe I should have tried making that for my April Fool's Day video. I've said enough times I would be more than happy to try just about any kind of meat. All right, let's see what we have now. Well, oh, hot, hot, hot. I can't believe I just did that. Ugh. Okay. I was trying to lift this. Oh yeah, we do have more browning on the bottom of this, but man, is this thing ever hot. Better turn off the oven now because I think we're just about done. I would have to say, John S., this is no longer raw. Hoping you can get a view of that. It is not squishy anymore. So yeah, definitely those last few minutes did make something of a difference. So as a result, this is pizza number 2. It doesn't really show that well on the camera. This actually looks almost like a heart-shaped pizza. Maybe if I try turning it in this direction. Anyway, all right, I would eat that. Okay, yeah, we need a roadkill cook-off. Pizza looks great. Well, I don't know about great, but I'd say it doesn't look too bad. So at least if nothing else, hunger makes strange meals. Well, there is that. When you consider, I've sometimes considered when they first invented cheese, for instance. Yeah, that must have really been an example, like you said, of hunger makes strange meals. Someone could very well have been starving, and that's why it's the point with, oh yeah, I've got this hunk of milk that's been sitting out for several days, and now it's got this blue mold growing in it. I think I'll try tasting it and see what it's like. So yeah, cheese is quite an interesting food in itself if you consider that. Mexican-based casseroles with tortillas, green chilies, chicken, and cheese are good. All right. Well, we'll see how that all turns out. As I said, I might try making that kind of a casserole for around April Fool's Day, and maybe. But on the other hand, I do have other things planned as well, including family coming to up to visit on Sunday, when I have a turkey thawing in the fridge right now for that. In fact, we're going to have turkey, and we're also going to have some mac and cheese as well as salt potatoes to go with that. So I'm hoping that the family enjoys that. However, this is what we have now. Here is our second pizza, made in a more traditional manner. In that respect, I might say that it looks better, I suppose, than the upside down pizza. But this is how it turned out. Let me see. Since this is a nonstick pan, I could very well scratch this if I use this thing. So let me get out that glove. I really don't feel like burning myself again. I guess it's time to get this out of here and onto there. And now, once again, comes the slice. One, two, three. Okay, now we separate them. Ooh, hot, hot, hot. And again, this is using provolone cheese rather than mozzarella. And on the whole, I'd have to say, in that respect, oh, yeah, we definitely have ourselves a gooey pizza here. So I think there are some folks here who would probably not say no to this. So, not a bad way, I think, to end this video here tonight, despite the fact I think it all came apart just now. Okay, the Grasshopper Gravy YouTube is titled Apocalypse Cooking. Yes, it is, Clico. That'll be some good breakfast tomorrow. Oh, and I certainly agree there. All right, well then, artist storyteller Danny, maybe this will inspire you to do some pizza. You could either make it yourself or just simply do a store-bought pizza. There's really nothing wrong with that. Either way, here is our pizza tonight, and I would say that this is pretty much everything we had wanted to do. Mud was into spam last night. Yeah, I heard about that. He made spam and cheese and or something like that. I'm gonna have to check out his video. I'm afraid I wasn't feeling well last night. I went to bed early. Oh, spiral potatoes. Well, yeah, maybe we'll do that on April Fool's Day. All right, which means, well, thank you very much then, Fuzzpork 8, because yeah, as I said, I'd say at least we set out to do what we wanted to do. I made the upside down pizza, and on the whole, as I said, I think the upside down pizza was at least passable. May not be exceptional, but it's not a bad pizza at all. And that, I guess that's really what matters. But what also matters, again, is, as always, the fact that I've had some fun tonight, and I certainly hope you folks have. That, of course, is the real thing I do here on this channel, to really to indulge in my hobby and have some fun cooking in cast iron. And with any luck, I've done my best to entertain you. I should say as well, next week we are going into the first of the month, and I am planning to do the usual, well, sort of usual, Ask Me Anything cast iron discussion next week at the beginning of the month. Although I'm going to kind of put a theme to it, and it's going to be especially, I'm going to title it My Cast Iron Collection 10 Years Later, because I can't believe it's been 10 years that I first made a video showing off my cast iron collection. And then 5 years later, or 5 years ago, I made another video describing my cast iron collection. So here we are 10 years later. And so next week I'm going to be taking a look at, really pretty much, I'm going to be trying to cover as many pieces in my cast iron collection as I can here on YouTube Live. And I'm hoping that you folks enjoy that. And that's, again, a week from today, on next week on Cast Iron Wednesday. But until then, Cynthia Caldwell, I like the upside down pizza. Maybe a little more Pam and cover the bottom completely with pepperoni. Bet it would be perfect. Yeah, you might be right. You could always give it a try yourself too. I can only hope you enjoy it and then if you have fun. If you eat a possum, you might as well put a can of that cat food on the pizza. um, and well, thank you again, Greg Hart, and thank you to Rick Stumbow, and yes, thank you to everybody who's been kind enough to come into my kitchen tonight and all the other nights we've done these live videos. Excuse me, because it's really doing these videos live here that I find that makes it so much fun. I mean, having a conversation with you folks, as difficult as it is when I'm trying to run around and cook and everything, really actually is a lot of fun for me. I find it very enjoyable. It helps pass the time. And again, without you folks here in this live chat, it certainly wouldn't be the same. So thank you very much to everybody who's been kind enough to come into here to my channel. And as Val's Black Cat's rule says, stay safe and healthy out there, everyone. Yeah, because, times are tough. Well, I mean, times have always been tough, but I mean, times are tough. So, yeah, take care of yourselves and each other. And thank you to everybody. Thank you to Huggy Bear, and thank you to Honey Badger and Sam Ostroff and Cynthia Caldwell and Kimberly Miller. Hope everyone has a great night, and I hope you do have a good night. Here it is, Wednesday night. We've got the weekend coming up. And thank you to William Hurt and let me see, and Ioneri Giacomo, Dr. Etzker in 5 minutes, if I'm pronouncing it right. I'm guessing you must be from another country or something, but nonetheless, thank you very much for visiting my channel, and I do hope to see you again. And I hope to see all of you folks, and good night as well to VL And well, what can I say? We'll be doing all of this once again in another week. So I can only thank everybody here for being kind enough to visit this channel. And as always, see you next Wednesday.